Hello everybody, welcome to Deluxe Collectibles, and today I'm going to be discussing a really interesting cancelled concept for LEGO Ninjago, specifically Prime Empire, and this information is coming from Tommy Andreasen over on Twitter, who hosted a Q&A where he answered fans' questions regarding Ninjago, and I've done a few videos on these topics now at this point, but this one was definitely one that I could not skip out on talking about. It's a really intriguing cancelled concept, and I wanted to discuss it here in the video, kind of discuss my thoughts on it, and also let you know if I think they could ever do a storyline similar to this in the future at some point. So without further ado, let's get straight into it here. And the question that was asked was, were there any ideas or concepts that you all had to ultimately scrap/cut from the series that you wish you could have implemented? And then Tommy said, each season has a bunch of great ideas that didn't make it. There was an idea that Jay's mother was trapped inside Prime Empire, and Jay's elemental powers were crucial to her survival, and I would have liked to have told that story. So I think that's really interesting there, that there was a whole different sort of motivation for Prime Empire, because of course within the actual season that we did wind up getting for Prime Empire, it's kind of a bit more random how Jay actually ends up in the actual game, because of course he just ends up playing it, getting to level 13, and then entering into Prime Empire. But with this premise here, it sounds like it was a much more personal thing where his parent wound up being taken away, and I believe they're referring to Edna here. I don't think it's like Jay's like biological mother. I'm assuming that it is Ed and Edna, or you know, his parents, but of course Edna specifically, because I think that would make the most sense, but I'm not sure what direction. But nonetheless, it made it a much more personal story, and I find that really interesting that they were thinking of bringing back that character, because we had not seen Jay's parents all the way since Hands of Time at that point, which is really crazy. At least in a speaking role, there were apparently pictured parts. I did look this up on the Ninjago wiki to kind of refresh my memory so that I didn't miss out on any crucial details of any of their previous appearances. But for any sort of major role, it was all the way back in Hands of Time, so that's really interesting, and I think this could have been really intriguing to see them do this, because I feel like it really would have changed Prime Empire quite a bit. I'm even curious if, I'm sure they could have still done Unagami as the villain, but maybe it wouldn't have been the same sort of story, because of course when they go into Prime Empire, Unagami is angered because of course his creator Milton Dyer kind of abandoned him and shut down the project, so it made sense, his motivation there. So what would have been the motivation behind taking Edna? Would it have been the same sort of idea where she played the Prime Empire game and then got taken into the game? Maybe it could have still been fundamentally the same sort of story, but I also kind of find it hard to believe that Ed and Edna were playing a video game, entering into it. It made a lot of sense with Jay, of course, because Jay is a gamer, of course, so that's why he was so intrigued by it and ended up getting sucked into it. So it made a lot more sense with his character, but I feel like this could have maybe had a different sort of premise to it. I think you could have kept a lot of the fundamental elements of it, but I find it really intriguing as well, because of course at the end of Seabound as well, when we have Nia's funeral in the final episode, we see Ed and Edna actually for the first time since Hands of Time, in this new animated style for Wild Brain animation. So it's really interesting. Maybe they could be planning to bring back those characters at some point in the future, and then maybe we could see a similar storyline, of course not revolving around Prime Empire, but something of where Jay's parents get taken, maybe even both of them this time. I'm not sure if that will be an idea that might be explored at some point in the future, because of course that would be a very personal story, and I think with us getting to see of course Kai and Nia's parents recently, maybe we could dive into something like that, maybe even see some other parents return. Of course Cole got to have his Master of the Mountain journey that kind of brought him a closer connection with his mother, so maybe we could see something like this for those parents. I think that that would be really intriguing for them to explore, and I love seeing that in Ninjago, just kind of forging these new sort of dynamics between the characters, and especially with ones that we haven't had the opportunity to see have a larger role in a long time. I think that it would be pretty interesting to explore that. So overall, those are my thoughts on the cancelled concept there. I think that it definitely sounds very intriguing, and I think it could have really changed part of the story for Prime Empire and some of the motivation behind maybe Unagami or something of that sort. But let me know all of your theories down below on this cancelled concept, and if you did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like down below as well. Also subscribe if you would like to check out any of my other content. That would be highly appreciated. So thank you so much. I will see you all next time, and always remember, keep on collecting.